the death of a friend or loved one, people are often left with unanswered questions. When this happens, they can suffer guilt and regret and cannot achieve closure. With no closure, a person has a hard time moving on in life. This film will show you how to contact spirits so you can achieve closure for yourself and others. There are many reasons why people want to contact a spirit. It could be for closure, guidance, receiving messages, finding lost objects, or it could be as simple as saying hello or goodbye. Hello, I'm Steve Murray, a psychic spiritualist. Before I explain how I contact spirits and show you a beginner's method to contact spirits yourself, I want to show you 2 clips of myself contacting spirits that I filmed a few years back. By viewing both clips, you can see how powerful contacting spirits can be in helping a person find closure. In this clip, you will see if Heather can achieve closure and beat cancer by getting questions she needs answered from her dead father.
I believe that everything happens for a reason. Nothing is coincidence. I woke up and was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. I have to have chemotherapy every 3 weeks for the rest of my life. Little did I know, a year and a half later, my dad would be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He passed away 3 months after getting diagnosed. I never felt that he gave me the opportunities that he gave my sister. I felt like he liked her more. I just don't understand what I did wrong, that I couldn't get his approval on anything that I did. So I would really just like to know that I'm a good person in his eyes, because I don't really know if I ever knew that.
Just visualize a white light if you can for me. Can you do that?
Yes.
I'm going to be right next to you. Walk up to the light with me now, okay? And just stop before we enter it.
Yes.
Are we there? We're there, right?
Yes.
Your father's about 6 feet in front of you. Can you see him? If you can't, that's fine. Can you sense him?
Yes. I'd just like to know if he thinks I'm a good mom.
Can you hear him?
No.
He uses the word spectacular. He says you're a great mom.
I just want to know if I did anything wrong to make him not like me.
He always felt closer to your sister. He uses the word favored your sister. I pick up he had some very heavy emotional problems. In fact, he's telling me it was a very heavy emotion. He had a hard time dealing with his emotions. Get it out of your system. Just tell your dad.
I'm just so angry at you because you didn't allow me to have any kind of real relationships with men. I don't trust any of them because all I do is think about what you used to do, which was drink and drink and drink. I didn't trust anyone. I have to be so independent. And now I'm in a really good marriage and I can't even trust the person that I'm with.
You could go louder.
This makes me angry. I'm just so mad at you because you did that, and I don't want to harness that hatred of you anymore. I just want to let it go.
Do you want to scream? Just let it out, please.
Ah!
He says he deserves that. There's no apology. He did the best he can with the drinking, the emotional issues. In fact, I pick up those organic emotional things with going on in his head. So he hopes you understand that. In fact, he's shifting as we talk.
I just like to know if he was my real dad.
He's giving me information that he's not your real dad. Okay, in fact, that's why he always favored your sister, because in the back of his mind he had doubts that you weren't really his flesh and blood.
Was I helpful to him when he was sick?
Yeah. He's showing some gratitude. Okay, what time is it? 7:30. Okay. Do you want to embrace your dad?
Yeah.
Okay. He's going to come forward now. Well, hang on. He says, fine. And he says he respects you, and you want to say anything to him? Because we had to get back.
I love him.
He says he respects you. Okay. See the white light?
Yeah.
Let's go back. Let's go through it. We're through it. We're going back. Okay, look at me. Go ahead, you're okay. Sometimes we get answers, but that's closure. He did the best he could. So it is what it is, you know.
That's him.
Yeah, that's him. Well, all I can do is tell him what he says, and sometimes I hesitate because I don't like saying it. But again, I have to say what the communication is. Like you said, that's him.
That's him.
You knew.
If he would have said he was sorry, that's not him.
No, he didn't say he was sorry. That wasn't him. Good news is it verifies everything. It wasn't you, okay? It wasn't you. It was him. There's no more doubts in your mind.
No.
And he wasn't a pleasant spirit.
That doesn't surprise me either. It's been about 6 months since I had my spirit session with Steve, and so much has happened. Immediately after the session, I felt the guilt dissipate. And as of today, I can actually tell you I am 100% cancer-free. And that is amazing. After being diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, thinking that you're gonna die, I am cancer-free.
In this second clip, you will see Carol is extremely depressed and cannot move on in life since her husband's unexpected death. Discover if she can find closure and move on after talking with him beyond the grave.
I do believe in God. Sometimes I wonder why he does what he does. My husband passed away suddenly. He kissed me on the forehead that morning and went to work, and I was IMing with him. He evidently got up from his desk and went down on the floor. They took him to the hospital. They came over and got me. They, of course, were working on him diligently. And then they came out and said, "We want to take you into this room." And as soon as they said that, I knew. I just pissed off that he had to leave me. Of everybody in this world, why him? We were just planning so much in our future, and it's just not fair. And I feel guilty that it wasn't me, that I wasn't the one that got to go home instead of him. I've tried to move past it, and I can't. I'm stuck. I just need to start a new chapter in my life, and the only way to do it is to close this one, and that's what I'm going to do today.
I got to get all this anger out, okay? So what we're going to do in this field, before we cross over, I want you to pretend this is the wall, and I want you just hit it and just scream as loud as you want. Get all the anger out before I cross.
God damn you!
Okay, well, that was good.
Probably too much.
That was you got a lot of anger. That's why I don't want to go over the side. Trust me. Okay, I'll hold it.
Damn it!
Hit it. Just get it all out. Okay, all out. Come on.
Damn it!
Get it out. Out. Okay. Okay. How do you feel?
Better.
I'll cross now. So now we can cross, have a peaceful crossing. All right, close your eyes. All right. Okay, we're ready to go. So your eyes are closed. Just visualize. If you can't visualize, just imagine a white light. Can you do that? I'm right next to you. So what we're going to do is walk up to that white light and stop. Okay, we're there. You in the white light?
Yes.
He's about 6-7 feet in front of you. And if you got a cry, do you see him?
Yes.
That's good. He sees you. In fact, I sense he's crying too, Ashley. Do you see him crying?
Yes.
Ask any questions you want.
Why?
What's his answer?
It was his time.
Okay, very good.
Please help me. Honey, I love you so much, but I can't hold on forever.
What's his response?
That's why I'm here. That's why this is happening.
What time is it?
We're at 2.5 minutes.
Oh, okay, you got plenty of time. You got plenty of time to spend time with him.
I'm hearing all kinds of weird noises, and I'm figuring it's you. Did you break the pendant? so that I would no longer wear your ashes around my neck.
What's his answer?
He's laughing. He's saying to me, I was trying to give you a message and you just weren't getting it. Thank you for meeting with me and allowing me this last time.
What do you say? Let me know. I hear it, but you say it's more powerful if you say it.
I love you too.
Even though when you move on and you're another person, he wants you to not be alone. You understand that. He's told you that, but I want to reinforce that. He doesn't want you to be alone. All right, he's going to move forward and he's going to embrace you and go ahead, and you'll feel like an energy. It won't be a physical, but you feel the warmth. Just and say what you need to say as he holds you. Speak louder.
Always love you. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, we thank you. We do thank you for meeting with us. But he had to. He's been wanting this meeting for years. And what did he say back to you?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what he said. He loves you. He loves you. He'll always love you. From both sides. From this side, the physical side, the spiritual side, and he's going to be there. So, see the white light? Okay, we're going to go back. We're going back. Can you open your eyes? You look at me. Yeah, you did quite well. You saw him, and you spoke to him, and so he's going to be with you now.
Tired.
Yeah, that's draining. That's why.
I actually feel like a weight has been lifted.
That's the normal thing. And he's still talking. I could hear him. You can't. So you have emotional closure. You'll be able to continue.
About 6 months ago, I had a spirit session with Steve. My husband had passed away suddenly and didn't have a chance to say goodbye. And with Steve, I did have a chance to say goodbye during the session. And since then, I have felt like I've had a weight lifted off my shoulders. So I feel wonderful. I've done some traveling, went on a cruise to Alaska and had a wonderful time. And I just feel as though through the spirit session, I have let go and started living again and feel wonderful. And it's really helped me immensely.
I have been teaching people how to contact spirits of friends and loved ones worldwide for over 25 years through my books and videos. This includes 2 best-selling videos on contacting spirits. Plus, I have certified thousands of students around the world in my Contacting Spirits certification program. In this film, I show examples and explain how I contact spirits as a professional psychic spiritualist. As a professional, I help all types of clients from many walks of life. I will teach you a beginner's method for contacting spirits that any person can learn. For the majority of people, this method is all they desire to learn. But for some, once they have become proficient in the beginner's method, they want to contact spirits like I do now. These people can use all or some of my techniques that I will demonstrate. Years ago, I started contacting spirits using this beginner's method. Eventually, after fully developing my psychic ability, I evolved to how I contact spirits now. As an option in contacting spirits, towards the end of the film, I will explain 2 other methods of contacting spirits you might want to try. One is through a seance. The second is with a spirit board. I do not recommend contacting spirits that are not relatives, loved ones, or friends. Or do I recommend trying to contact any spirit just for fun and excitement? If you do what I just mentioned and are not a professional, you can never tell what type of spirit will show up and then how to handle it safely. So please stick with your loved ones and friends for the spirit sessions. This will never cause you harm or mislead you. I call the process of contacting a spirit session or session. The main part of the session, which is communicating with the spirit, I allow 10 minutes. It takes a lot of energy and effort for the spirit from the other side to communicate with me, so I never exceed the 10 minutes. This is plenty of time for the clients to get their questions answered by the spirit. On the rare occasions when 10 minutes is not enough, I will schedule another spirit session. A few years back, I filmed 10 live spirit sessions in the studio. I will use parts of these sessions to explain how I perform a spirit session. Over the years, I have developed my clairvoyance to a high level. Clairvoyance is the psychic ability referred to as clear sight, clear seeing, or second sight. It's associated with the sixth chakra, sometimes called the third eye. It is a psychic ability through which you can receive information through visions or flashes of insights. The information can be in the form of pictures, images, or sound, and is received directly through the third eye. This is how I connect and receive information from a spirit. A developed clairvoyant psychic ability helps establish a stronger communication link with spirits in the session. I first started to develop my clairvoyance through deep meditation, but to take it to the level where it is now, I use a clairvoyance attunement. An attunement is an empowerment with a specific purpose and intent given to a person, usually by a spiritual master. The empowerment of the clairvoyance attunement is to increase your clairvoyance. I have a DVD, Volume 2, New Attunements to Expand Psychic Abilities, that has a clairvoyance attunement on it. As a bonus, I have edited the clairvoyance attunement segment from the DVD, and I put it at the end of this film if you'd like to try it. I have my clients participate as much as possible during a spirit session.
But do you sense him? Do you sense him?
I sense his energy.
Okay, very good. That's all we need.
I find this is very therapeutic for them. Although by participating, the session can be tense and the unexpected may happen.
Feel like I'm floating.
Okay, hang on. Don't move. Don't go towards him.
It is not unusual for the client during or after a session to have an emotional release. This can be crying, nose running, coughing, sneezing, shaking, or other physical manifestations. All are signs of an emotional release. An emotional release is good. It means the process of closure is happening in real time. When a client experiences an emotional release, I always let them know that it's part of the closure process and they should embrace it. The place I perform a session is quiet where I will not be disturbed. It has low lighting and I usually have candles. I have the client bring in the spirit's picture, jewelry, or any small possessions of the spirit he or she feels attached to. I place everything on the table next to us. Whatever is placed on the table has the spirit's energy still attached to it. What is on the table is like a vibrating beacon for the spirit. This really helps the spirit to show up during the session. I always have Kleenex available during the session in case a client has an emotional release. I have a reclining chair or sofa for the client, and I always stand next to the client during the session. I do the following 3 elements before a spirit session, and I try to get the client to do the same. I stop eating animal protein 12 hours before a session. Animal protein sits in the stomach using extra energy for digestion. All my energy is needed for a spirit session. I stop the consumption of caffeine drinks and sugar 6 hours before a session. Caffeine and sugar will interfere with my focus and thoughts. I drink 16 to 24 ounces of water 1 hour before a session. I need my physical body, especially my brain, to be hydrated so both are at peak levels during the session. Before a session, I make sure my mind is flooded with gamma brainwaves. Gamma brainwaves are the fastest brainwaves in the brain. Scientists have identified gamma waves in the brains of expert meditators such as Buddhist monks when they're meditating. Gamma brainwaves produce higher states of consciousness and awareness. This higher consciousness and awareness is the state I need to be in during a spirit session. Years ago, to fill my mind with gamma waves, I meditated before a session, but this would take up to 15 minutes or so. Now, I listen to brainwave entrainment, or BWE, to enter a gamma state, and it only takes a few minutes. BWE is the use of contemporary technology to change your brainwaves to match the frequency of external sounds. The most common BWE are beats or tones that have brainwave frequencies such as gamma. By listening to the beats and tones of gamma, your brain waves will naturally and rapidly shift into gamma without any conscious effort. There are many good BWE products in the market. Although I created my own BWE for my sessions, I created beats and tones at gamma wave frequencies using special software. After the gamma beats and tones were created, I blended them into music for easy listening. You can contact me if you're interested in using my BWE music. Once my mind is in a gamma state, I silently state the intent of the spirit session 5 times. Intent is the purpose of a session, which would be to contact a certain spirit. I always get the name of the spirit the client wants to contact at least a few hours before the session. Then I repeat the following to myself. I will be contacting the spirit's name in today's session. This helps with the spirit connection and at the same time gives the spirit a heads up about what is going to be happening soon. I activate my clairvoyance before a session by rubbing my third eye. I have trained myself over the years that by doing this, my clairvoyance is fully activated. I always say a prayer before a session. In the prayer, I ask my source for the protection and well-being of my client, myself, and the spirit during the session, and that the results of the session will be only for the highest good for all. Once I have done all my preparation for the spirit session, I am ready to greet the client and start the session. All the preparation has been done before you start the session, and the client is in the reclining position. On occasion, a client will sometimes have anger towards the spirit we will be contacting. If I detect anger in a client, I need to neutralize it, at least for the session. If there is anger during the session, the spirit might not show up. I use whatever technique comes to my mind to neutralize it. Sometimes it is as simple as to have the client scream out the anger. Ah! Once this is done, I can proceed. I have the client close their eyes and relax.
Now keep your eyes closed. In fact, you can close them right now. Just relax.
I have the client visualize a white light.
Visualize a white light and let me know. Can you visualize that? Okay, good.
Then I have the client visualize myself next to them, and we walk up to the white light together.
So we're there now. You see it right at the edge of the white light? You and me? Okay.
I tell the client to stay at the white light with me until I say crossover into it.
When I tell you to cross over into it, we'll cross over together and then stand.
I have the client take a few deep breaths, then have them cross over with me into the white light and stop.
You take a deep breath. Okay, let's walk into the white light. Okay, let's just stand. We're in the white light. You feel you're in the light?
Yes.
Okay.
The spirit will be in front of us.
Your girlfriend, your best friend's about 7 feet in front of you.
I ask if the client sees the spirit.
Can you see her? If you can't, you can see her? Okay, that's very good.
I explain if the spirit is not seen, not a problem.
Your son's about 8 feet in front of you, 7 in front of us. Do you see him?
No,
That's fine. Do you sense him?
not yet.
You don't, that's fine. You don't, he's there. That's fine. You don't need to sense he's there. Okay.
I am aware of the spirit. I start the questions for the spirit.
Any questions?
Why? Why you chose my stepmom over me?
This is the point where I start the 10-minute limit. I ask the client if they hear the spirit.
Do you hear her response? Can you hear her? Okay, that's fine.
If the spirit cannot be heard, I will explain the spirit will communicate through me.
You hear his response? Can you hear anything? If not, I'll interpret. Do you?
No.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, what he says that now that we're having a session and remove the emotional block you have, he's going to be around more.
I continue the questions until the 10 minutes are up.
Why didn't you come see me before you left?
Hang on. He was in the military. He was out of his control. It was impossible for him to. He wanted to, but it was impossible. It was impossible. He feels very bad about that, but he couldn't control. He was in the physical world, and in the physical world, yeah, you have to take orders and certain responsibilities. So he does feel bad.
After 10 minutes are up, I start closing the spirit connection, and sometimes at this point, the client will get an energy hug from the spirit.
Do you want the father to come up to you? You want to embrace him?
I would like.
He's going to come forward, and you just stay where you're at, and you feel like a warm feeling since we're in the spiritual world, and you feel like a warmness, tingling. Okay.
Hot.
Okay, I know, that's it. That's to embrace the spirit world.
I tell the client we're going back. I ask the client if they see the exit of the white light.
We're going to say goodbye. Okay, you see the white light? You see it?
Yeah.
Once they acknowledge seeing it, we both exit the white light together.
You got to go. You see the white light?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
Once out of the white light, I have the client open their eyes, and we end the session with a discussion of what just happened.
I guess you stop the plug or something, the life support machine. Or
Well, he was breathing 14 breaths over life support, but we had to put a tracheostomy and a feenie tube or what?
Yeah. He says, don't worry about that. You did what you had to do.
I felt good.
Okay. He's saying, as he's going away, he's saying, don't worry about it. You did the right thing. That was the right decision. And he thanks you for that because he didn't want to linger anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Next is a full spirit session with Peter. He will explain why he wants a session. After the session, you will find out how he is doing now.
My dad left when I was about 5 or 6 years old, just with no explanation, no telling me he loves me. I felt abandoned. A good 30, 40 years of my life, I was closed in. I was afraid of loving. I just floated from job to job, from relationship to relationship. And then about the age of 32, my second year of law school, my dad died without any warning and he abandoned me again. At his funeral, I had no feelings. I was empty. The main purpose of me being here today is to connect with my dad and do those things that we're never able to do, either when he left me the first time or he left me when he died. So I want to be able to hug him and tell him I love him.
Since you want the gavel.
I want to hold on to the gavel.
Okay, this gavel was your father's.
This was my dad's, and he used this when he was in government.
I'm doing something a little unusual with most clients now, more and more. You mentioned hatred, okay? So, I know in your profession, you had to keep calm and peaceful and keep your composure all the time. I need you to get rid of the hatred, the anger, and the only way to express that is, I sense, yell. Unless you have a statement you want to say, just from your belly, just scream, because we can't cross over with all this hatred and this anger, even though it's buried deep inside you. I sense it. So you either make a statement, I hate this, that, or you just scream as loud as you can.
I'll scream.
Just let it out. Ah! One more time. Ah! 3's the magic. One more time. Get all out. Ah! Okay. How do you feel?
I feel good.
Do you see a white light?
No.
Visualize a white light. If you don't see it, that's fine. It's there.
I visualize a white light.
Very good. I'm right next to your side. So what we're going to do is walk up to the white light together, but do not cross into that white light until I say cross over. Okay? I got you by the hand energy. So let's walk to the white light, to the edge of it. We're there now. We're there? Are you there?
Yes.
Listen to me closely. We're going to take 2 steps into the white light. 1, 2. We're in the white light. Now stand. Your father is about 6, 7 feet in front of us. First of all, do you see him?
No.
Do you sense him?
Yes.
Do you have a question that you'd like to ask him?
Well, I'd like to know why he emotionally left me. Why he abandoned me.
He had to move on. At that time, in his life, I guess he had issues with the mother, and he had to move on with his life. He does say he left you with as much as he could information at the time he spent with you. He's not taking credit for the man you are today, but he says that if you didn't travel the path you did, you would not be the man you are today, and professionally. He does apologize. He does apologize. As far as loving you, he does love you. Do you have another question?
No, I just want to say I love him and missed him.
What he wants to tell you is, when he died, it was his time. He knew he suffered great loss with his passing, that you never got to know him really, really well. But he didn't abandon you. It was his time to cross over. So he understands when you're 5 years old, it's very confusing. And he has shifted. He says he was a very stubborn man. In fact, he says that you have some of his traits. He's also asking to remove any hatred, anger, resentment you had towards him if you would forgive him.
I do.
He says, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I feel like I'm floating.
Okay. Hang on.
Hold me down.
Okay, don't move. Don't go towards him. Stay here. Don't move, Peter. Just stay here. Please. I don't want to lose you here. I'm going to let your father move forward to you and embrace you. And you can say what you want. It'll be like an energy embrace. But don't. We got to go back. I sense you want to stay. but you can't. So your father's going to come forward to you, and he's going to be an energy embrace. You're going to feel warm. Come forward.
I feel him hugging me.
Okay. He's doing it right now. It's an energy hug. Say what you need to say to him, and I'll tell you what he says to you.
I love you, and thanks for being in my life.
He says he appreciates you coming here. It took a lot of effort for him to be here, and he loves you. Let's cross back over. We're back over. That's all right. Take this over. Take a look at me. We almost lost you there. You almost took off. You wanted to stay. How you feel?
I feel really relaxed right now. I feel drained and relaxed.
This is the energy work here. I already sense you shifting. So in your life, it's going to be shifting really, really quick. So you're going to be more opened up. The blockages are gone. Again, this is the last piece of your puzzle. You've done a lot of great work over the years. This is the final piece.
Hey, Peter, it's good to see you again.
Nice to see you, Steve. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while since we did those live sessions, and I appreciate you coming on the film I'm doing to let people know how you're doing, how you did during the session, after the session, and what you're doing now. You were brave enough to have the spirit session, brave enough to have it filmed. What happened? I know during the session, we had some strange things happen. So, you had your dead dad's gavel, which you brought in.
And I have that right here, as a matter of fact. These are one of the things that he left me when he died. This is when he was in government, and he used to pound on that.
Yeah. So it's very important, I tell people, to have an artifact or something, the spirit's possession during the session. And you had the gavel, which you did, if I recall, which you grabbed it during the session.
I grabbed a hold of that and basically got in touch with my father through you during the session, holding on to the gavel. I had to grab you because I was being pulled into the universe, and that was really scary. I was actually floating off the chair I was in, and I had to grab you, or you had to grab me to hold me down.
I do remember that. It was different, and when I do spirit sessions, everybody's different, unique, and there's different situations now. But you were actually floating. So I remember you grabbing my hand, I held you down, and we completed the session. And what happened right after the session?
I felt so relaxed. I just felt at one with God, just a complete peace.
Okay. So fast track this. You've had the session a few years back. How has it changed your life? Any for good or bad, or what's going on?
Oh, okay. The people, all right, so my direction changed to where I lost my insecurities. I got my self-esteem back. I started completing tasks. I started walking around with a smile on my face. I was not afraid to do anything. I was not afraid of failure. People would come up to me as much as 6 months ago and say, hey, you're different. What's going on with you? They just sensed I had a new aura.
You obtained closure, and closure has changed your life. When you spoke, we communicated with your dead dad, and people have watched the sessions, since they're seeing this, and the closure worked for you, and it's probably the relief of everything, and you were able to move on in your life once you had the closure.
Closure was very important, and I never realized the importance of that. So through the session, I closed off, completed my past insecurities with my dad, and now we talk all the time through, I just close my eyes and say, Dad, come help me. Let's talk about this. What the direction is best for me? And it's working very subtly.
So anyway, it's very good to see you, and thanks for the input. This will help other people help themselves, because sometimes some people are a little bit hesitant about doing a spirit session for closure, but you're a living testimonial that it has worked for you.
You know, Steve, thank you. It's all about the fear of the unknown. A lot of people don't want to do things like that, get involved with spiritual contacts just because fear of the unknown. Okay, but thank you so much for doing it with me. It worked immensely. My life is completely turned around. I'm completely at peace. Thank you.
All right, Peter. We'll talk soon. Goodbye. When I first started contacting spirits many years ago, I used the beginner's method until I evolved into the way I do it now. In the beginner's method, you will not receive information from the spirit in real time as I do now, but you will receive your answers within a week. It is not uncommon to have an emotional release during a beginner session. The signs of an emotional release are the same as I explained before. If you have an emotional release, it is not necessary to stop the session. Just let the release happen and go on. An emotional release is good and nothing to fear. Again, it is part of the process of closure. After a beginner session, the Spirit will communicate the answers to questions within 7 days after the session. The answers can arrive in many ways. This can be through intuition, sound, voice, smells, a vision, a dream, or some other creative way. Every person will have his or her own unique way in receiving messages from the Spirit they contacted. You will always get an answer after a Spirit session during the 7-day period. The challenge is being aware of the answer and then understanding it. Sometimes you will instantly be aware of the way the answer is being sent, and you will understand its meaning. This will happen more often as you develop your awareness of the way the Spirit communicates with you. To develop your awareness, all you have to do is be alert to what is going on around you. This sounds simple enough, but most people are in their own inner world most of the time and not paying attention to what's going on around them. The good news is, if you do a Spirit session, you definitely will be on alert for your answers and will be aware when they arrive. Each time you perform a Spirit session, your awareness becomes stronger and stronger. As a side note, the awareness and understanding of the communication from a Spirit is always filtered through your own belief system. Spirits are aware of this and will communicate with you in such a way that you will be able to be aware of their communication and understand its meaning. Preparation for beginner sessions are similar to the way I prepare for my Spirit sessions. The preparations include stop eating animal protein 12 hours before a session, stop the consumption of caffeine drinks and sugar 6 hours before a session, consume 16 to 24 ounces of water 1 hour before a session. Prior to the session, gather up the Spirit's picture, jewelry, or any small possessions of the Spirit you feel attached to. What you select will be placed on a table in front of you during the session. As I mentioned before, these items hold traces of the Spirit's energy and are a vibrating beacon for the Spirit. Have a notepad and pen available. You're going to write the Spirit's name you want to contact on the pad for the session. For example, Stan Smith. Next, write down the question you want to ask the Spirit. For example, Stan, why did you leave us so early? You can write up to 3 questions. However, with first sessions, I recommend just asking 1 question. After you receive an answer to that question and become more experienced with the process, you can have additional sessions with more questions. Wear comfortable clothes and have a chair to sit in. Have a table in front of you and place the Spirit's items you have selected on it. Also place the pad with the Spirit's name and question on the table. Always do a session before you go to bed, and the best place to have a Spirit session is in your bedroom. Make sure the area where you perform the session is quiet and where you will not be disturbed. The area should have low lighting. Before a Spirit session, you should say a prayer. It's important to say a prayer in your own words. You can include whatever you feel you should say, but somewhere in your prayer, the following must be in it. Ask your source, God, higher power, or whatever you believe in for protection and well-being during the session. At the end of the prayer, ask that the session's outcome be for the highest good for all. Finally, I recommend taking the clairvoyance attunement before you begin performing sessions. You only need to take the attunement once or twice, that's it. After that, you can take the attunement every year or so for reinforcement if you feel it is needed. The attunement will help you recognize the way the Spirit communicates with you and understand what it means. Be aware that you can always stop a Spirit session at any point. Just open your eyes, rub your hands together briefly, take several deep breaths, and that's it. If you stop a session, do not perform another one for at least 72 hours. The preparation has been done. The room is all set. The table and chair are in place. Everything needed is on the table, and it is your bedtime. Sit in the chair in front of a table. The Spirit's artifact and the pad with the Spirit's name and your question written on it have been placed on the table. Pick up the spirit's artifact from the table and hold it in your hands or lap. Now, state the spirit's name you're trying to contact 5 times out loud or silently. After stating the spirit's name 5 times, place the artifact back on the table. Now, close your eyes and start breathing deeply and slowly for a few minutes. After the deep breaths, breathe normally. With eyes still closed, visualize several past experiences you had with the spirit when it was in physical body. These past experiences can have taken place at any age. Do this for 5 minutes or so. After you have finished visualizing the past experiences with the spirit in physical form, open your eyes. Now, pick the pad up from the table and state your question or questions out loud or silently. Once this is done, place the pad back on the table and go to bed. That's it. The spirit will take it from here. Repeat these steps on 7 consecutive days or until you receive an answer within the 7-day time frame. If a day is missed, you must start a new session with a 7-day cycle. The reason being, the day you missed might be the day the spirit tried to make contact. Always keep paper and pen by the bed during this process in case you receive your communication from the spirit in a dream. If you wake up after having the dream, you can write it down, or when you wake up in the morning, you can write it down. Many times, people receive their answer in a dream, and they forget if they do not write the reply down right away. The word seance comes from the French word meaning to sit. A seance is a group of people that meet to contact spirits to send and receive messages. The people in the group are called sitters. There is a leader of the group who will guide the sitters throughout the seance. During the seance, any sitter or sitters receive answers and or messages from the spirit contacted. A spirit board is also known as a talking board or Ouija board. Using the board is also a form of seance for 1 or 2 persons with maybe a few observers. Most spirit boards are wooden and have 26 letters of the alphabet, the numbers 0 through 9, and the words yes or no and goodbye engraved upon them. Sometimes variations of the words are substituted. For example, farewell instead of goodbye. Various designs can be added to the board, and on mine I have added Reiki symbols. A movable indicator, called a pointer or planchette, are used with the board to answer questions that are asked to the spirit. It is made of plastic or wood and points to the letters, numbers, or symbols on the board after a question is asked. The pointer can have a clear window embedded in it through which one can view the letters, numbers, words, or symbols. To use the pointer, 1 or 2 sitters lightly place their fingers on it. Then they ask a question of the spirit and wait for it to move about the board, stopping at letters, numbers, and symbols to convey the answer. 3 important factors must be considered when conducting a seance or using the spirit board, and they are the sitters, the purpose, and the location. The main qualifications of a sitter is the desire to be a sitter and have an open and positive mind. At least one family member, a loved one, or a friend of the spirit being contacted should be a sitter. Avoid using skeptics or people with fears of contacting spirits as sitters. Negative non-beliefs and fears may slow spirit communication or even block it. The spirit that has to be contacted and the purpose of the contact should always be established before holding a seance or using a spirit board. There are 2 options for where to hold a seance or using a spirit board. One option is the home of the spirit with whom you're trying to establish contact. The second option is the home of a relative or friend of the spirit. Both locations should be free from outside disturbances. The basic preparations for holding a seance and using a spirit board are the same, except for the seating. When considering seating for a seance, you need to have a table big enough to seat the number of sitters in the group. A dining table or card table can be used. The chair should be straight back but comfortable. When using the spirit board, you just need an area where the board can be placed between two people. Or both, the room should be dimly lit, but with enough light that you can see the other sitters' faces and navigate around the room. A small personal possession or photo of the spirit being in contact is needed. The personal possession can be a watch, jewelry, keys, hairbrush, anything that is small and can fit on a table. If this is not possible, a photo will be okay. You can use both if you like. White, violet, purple, or red candles can be placed on the seance table and around the spirit board. As an option, the room can be cleared by smudging with sage before the sitters arrive. If you are a Reiki healer, you can place Reiki symbols in the corners of the room or use Reiki candles. Several scents should be used during the contact, and the two most popular ones are frankincense and sandalwood. Have fresh flowers in the room. Water and a pad of paper and a pen should be available. Before starting a seance or using a spirit board, a prayer should be said. It should be a prayer that all people are comfortable with, so it's up to the sitters to decide what the content of the prayer should be. However, the content of the prayer should include the following: ask for guidance and protection from God, a higher power, the source, or whatever you believe in. And ask all that happens during the seance or spirit board session will be for the highest good for all. Sometimes unexplained physical activity may take place during the seance or while using the spirit board. There's no need for fear or alarm if this happens. Just understand that this is part of the process and continue on with the seance or spirit board session. In fact, these physical signs can be ways the spirit can get your attention to announce its presence. Physical signs do not always occur, and they are not required for a successful contact. There are many signs that spirits can use to announce their presence at a seance, but some of the common ones are changes in room temperature, a draft of air that happens from nowhere, an odor or scent that was not present before, the table creaking, rocking, or tilting, unexplained noises such as footsteps, knocks, rapping sounds, or something being dropped. Objects might appear to move for unexplained reasons, a tingling sensation that runs down your arms, across your palms, or the hands may become warmer or colder. You might see glimpses of unexplained shapes and shadows, usually seen out the corner of the eye, and a feeling that you're being briefly touched. Now, during the seance, each sitter can receive contact from a spirit 3 different ways. 1. Spirit contacts are felt rather than heard or seen. Sitters feel what the spirit is communicating by impressions, bodily sensations, gut feelings, hunches, and sometimes smells. 2. Spirit contacts are heard rather than felt or seen. Some sitters hear what the spirit is communicating, even though other sitters in the room cannot. 3. Spirit contacts are seen rather than felt or heard. Some sitters can see visions, pictures, and images, or even see the spirit. When using the spirit board, the way the spirit communicates is straightforward through the board and pointer. There are several beliefs on how this works. 1. The pointer is actually moved by the direct force of the spirit guiding the hands of the sitters. 2. The contacted spirit actually utilizes the eyes of the sitters in order to point to the letters and words needed to form a message or answer. The way I teach seances, a professional medium is not required. In fact, every sitter in the group is the medium. There's no asking of questions with table tipping responses or a spirit taking over a sitter's physical body. Questions agreed upon by the sitters before the seance are asked by one sitter during the seance, and the answers can be received by one sitter, several, or all the sitters. A maximum of 3 to 5 questions can be asked, with 3 to 5 minute pauses between each question for the answer to be received. A final request for any message from the spirit is asked after all the questions. This is a guideline, and if followed, the seance will last about 45 minutes. If more questions need to be asked, it can be done in future seances. Notes can be written down about the information received after the seance. Some sitters may not receive information during the seance, but their presence helps with the spirit contact. All answers and messages received are shared and discussed after the seance by the group. Keep in mind that a spirit's answers or messages may not be what you would like or expect. A message or answer may not be understood at this time, but its meaning can be revealed to a sitter or sitters in the future when it's least expected during the day or in a dream. A seance should not be held more than once every 2 weeks. Decide what spirit is to be contacted before the seance. The time for a seance should be set at least an hour after the sun goes down. The number of sitters that form a group for a seance should never be less than 3 or more than 8. Both sexes and all ages of adults can participate, but no children should be present. Meditation music can be played until the seance begins. The sitters can keep their eyes open or closed during the seance. All telephones and TVs should be turned off during the seance. During the seance, the spirit that's being contacted is always called by his or her name. Conversation should be held to a minimum during the seance. After a seance, all sitters should eat and drink something to ground themselves. Here are the following steps for a seance. Preparations are made and the room is ready. The spirit's personal possessions and/or photo are placed in the middle of the table. Once all the sitters are present and sitting at the table, a leader of the circle needs to be selected. Once a leader is established, let him or her lead the group to ensure the seance is held in an orderly fashion. The leader reviews the reasons for contacting the spirit with the group and it's decided between all what questions are to be asked. The leader makes a list of the questions that will be asked. The list is placed next to the leader so it can be easily read. All the sitters now hold hands. The leader now asks the sitters to send loving thoughts to the spirit being contacted and then says the prayer that was decided upon. The leader asks all the sitters to take a few deep breaths at their own pace. After the breaths, the group can stop holding hands. Now the leader, in a calm voice, will call the spirit by name and ask it to come forward and contact one or more of the sitters in the group. The leader can also mention the spirit's relative, loved one, or friend that is in the group. One or more sitters might be aware of a physical sign showing the spirit's presence, but a physical sign does not have to manifest before the questions start. After the leader has asked the spirit to come forward, he or she asks the first question. Depending on the flow of the seance, the waiting period between each question is 3 to 5 minutes, and that determination is left to the leader. Once all the questions are asked, the leader then asks the spirit, are there any messages for the group? After asking the spirit for any messages and giving time for response, it is time to start closing the seance. The leader thanks the spirit by name for coming forward and tells it to go in peace. Candles are put out, the lights are turned on. After a few minutes, all the sitters should be alert and ready to talk. The leader goes around the group, asking each sitter to discuss what happened after each question and if they received any messages from the spirit. After all have spoken, the group discusses all answers and messages received, and that will complete the seance. A spirit board should not be used more than once a week. Be sure your board is clean and free of dust before using it. Decide what spirit is to be contacted before using the spirit board and make a list of questions for the spirit. Questions can be changed or added during this session depending on the answers from the spirit. The time for using the spirit board is at night. All telephones and TVs should be turned off. The spirit board session should not last longer than 60 minutes. Save unanswered questions for the next session. Meditation music can be played until the spirit board session begins. A spirit board is used by 2 people, although it can be used alone. Observers can be present. Of the 2 sitters using the board, one person should be designated as the leader who will ask the questions. The 2 sitters always keep their eyes open during a spirit board session. When using the spirit board, the spirit that's being contacted is always called by his or her name. To start the session, the 2 sitters face each other and place the board between them. This could be on a table, floor, or upon their knees. Both sitters can speak, but only the leader should ask the questions during the session. And the questions should be stated out loud. The observer can take notes during the session, or the session can be recorded for review later. Both sitters should ground themselves after a spirit board session by eating and drinking. When using the pointer, each sitter lightly places 2 to 4 fingertips from each hand on it. Do not force the movement of the pointer. If it isn't responding to a light touch after a few minutes, move on to the next question. Be aware that some spirits will move the pointer across the board very quickly, while others will move the pointer very slowly. When receiving an answer to your question, each letter or number must be clearly pointed out or visible in the viewer of the pointer. If the pointer is between letters or numbers, ask the spirit to reconfirm the letter or number, and it should move to the correct one. When using the pointer, you're going to get the feeling it wants to stop at certain letters or numbers. Usually this is a subtle, intuitive impulse, and you should go with it. Once the session starts, always remain calm and keep all fingers on the pointer. Here are the following steps for using the spirit board. Preparations for the spirit board are done, the room is ready. The spirit's personal possessions and/or photo are placed next to the board. It is decided which sitter of the two will be the leader of the session. The leader reviews the reasons for contacting the spirit with the other sitter and is then decided what questions are to be asked. The leader makes notes of the questions that will be asked. The list is placed next to the leader so it can be read easily. If a tape recorder is used, it is turned on. The leader now asks the loving thoughts be sent to the spirit being contacted, and then says the prayer that was decided upon. Next, both sitters take a few deep breaths. Now the leader in a calm voice will call the spirit by name and ask it to come forward and make contact through the spirit board. Both sitters now place hands on the pointer. After a few moments, the first question is asked by the leader. After 1 to 5 minutes, the pointer will commence to move for the first time. Once an answer is given, you could ask for more information or clarification or ask another question. If the pointer is not moving after 5 minutes, start making slow circles on the board with the pointer and the spirit will usually respond. Whenever there is no response to a question, ask the next question. After about 50 minutes or so, ask the last question. Any unanswered questions can be asked in a future session. To close the session, the leader thanks the spirit by name for coming forward and asks it to go in peace. The spirit should move the pointer to goodbye, or the sitters can move it to goodbye. Candles are put out, the lights turn on, and the session is over. After a few minutes, both sitters should be alert and ready to talk. The sitters can discuss the questions and answers from the spirit. Also at this time, the notes from an observer can be reviewed, or if you record the session, it can be played back. Holding a seance or using the spirit board does not guarantee contact will be made with the spirit. Do not be discouraged if contact does not happen the first few times. Keep trying. You will receive contact eventually in one form or another. If you would like to make your own spirit board, I have placed the instructions on the screen at the end of the film. I believe time and events are layered and occur simultaneously. Past, present, and future are happening at the same time. The film of the clairvoyance attunement serves as a medium to transcend time and space and connect us. The crystal serves as a link between us, so I give the clairvoyance attunement to you in the present. The crystal, with your open and receptive mind and my powerful intent, will ensure that you will receive the clairvoyance attunement successfully. During a psychic attunement, you may feel heat and body sensations, see colors, visions or symbols, hear voices, experience smells, feel energized, or you might even see images in the crystal. Some people are so focused during the attunement, they don't experience anything consciously. Each person will have his or her own unique experience during a psychic attunement. But no matter what your experience, you will have received a psychic attunement successfully. The Reiki psychic attunement does not give you instant psychic ability, although it appears that way with some people after taking the attunement. This is because the attunement opens and expands the psychic ability they were unaware they had. The psychic attunements on this DVD will increase the psychic abilities from whatever level you're at now. For example, if you are slightly clairvoyant, you will now receive stronger, clearer pictures or images after the attunement. After taking the psychic attunement, you might not be consciously aware of any increase or shift of a psychic ability, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. The majority of the time there will be a gradual increasing of the psychic ability for which you receive the attunement.
You might experience improved psychic abilities right away, so be patient and take an attunement as many times as you feel the need using the 2-week guideline. You will need to find a place you will not be disturbed for about 12 minutes to receive an attunement. During the attunement, keep your eyes open looking at the crystal. If your eyes blink or close occasionally, that's alright. Sometimes a person will see visions or images in the crystal during the attunement. If that happens, do not have any fear. Just continue with the attunement. In each attunement, a different chakra is used, and you need to place your hands in various positions throughout each attunement. Here are the hand positions. Practice them a few times before you take any attunement. Hands in a prayer position. Open palms. Palms on the crown chakra. Palms on the 6th chakra. Palms on the 5th chakra. Palms on the 4th chakra. Palms on the 3rd chakra. Palms on the 2nd chakra. Palms on the 1st chakra. Limit or stop eating all animal protein 24 hours before the attunement. Consume only water or juice 4 to 6 hours before the attunement. Stop drinking alcohol and caffeine 24 hours before the attunement. Limit sugar 24 hours before the attunement. Stop smoking 24 hours before the attunement. The day before the attunement, meditate a few minutes upon the reason you are taking the psychic attunement. We're here at Red Rock, ready to start the Reiki Psychic Clairvoyance Attunement. I want you to put your hands in a prayer position and completely clear your mind. I want you to take several deep breaths, and when you exhale, just think the word relax. I also want you to listen to my voice throughout the attunement as I state the different hand positions during the attunement. In a few moments, I want your eyes open looking at the crystal. Okay, let's begin the attunement. Hands in a prayer position. Open palms. Palms on the 6th chakra. Hands in a prayer position. Open palms. Palms on the fourth chakra. Hands in a prayer position. Open palms. Palms on the crown chakra. Hands in a prayer position. Open palms. Palms on the second chakra. Hands in a prayer position. Now feel the energy coming through the top of your head and out your feet into the earth. Now bring the energy all the way back, up from your feet, out the top of your head. Take a deep breath. The Reiki Psychic Clairvoyance Attunement is now complete. You can close your eyes and rest for a little bit if you like. Shante.